Welcome back to King Kong Kids Storytime. Today I have 3 stories for you from the Far East. The first one is from China. It's called The Fourth Question. Long, long ago, a young man named Yi Li and his mother lived by Lotus Lake below Ten Tai Mountain. When his mother became very, very old and could not work any more, Yi Li rented another piece of land from the landlord and planted some rice and vegetables. He worked very hard, night and day, but they never had enough food or clothing. Yi Li began to wonder why, in spite of all my hard work, am I still so poor? One day, Yi Li heard that the wise man of Kunlun Mountain was very good at giving people advice to solve their problems. He decided to go and seek advice from the wise man. Before he left, Yi Li stored rice, oil, salt, beans, and wood for his mother, enough to last for a long time. Then he started on his journey. For 49 days, Yi Li walked and walked toward the west. Scorched with thirst, he knocked at a hut and asked for a drink. A kindly old woman invited him inside and gave him food and water. She asked him, "Why are you panting, young man? Where are you rushing to?" "I am going to the palace at the top of Kunlun Mountain," Yi Li replied, "to ask the wise man why I work so hard but am still poor." When the old woman heard this, she grabbed his hands and pleaded, "Will you please ask him something for me too? I have a very beautiful and clever daughter who is 18 years old. When she was born, I named her Ya Mei, which means graceful plum flower. But it also means mute girl because she has never spoken a word. Good young man, will you please ask the wise man why my daughter cannot speak?" "I shall ask for you," promised Yi Li. After spending the night in the old woman's hut, Yi Li continued his westward journey for another 49 days until he couldn't walk any more. Then he knocked at the door of a bamboo hut. An old man opened the door and invited him in. After serving him food and drink, the old man inquired, "Where are you going in such a hurry that you are sweating so much?" "I am going to the palace at the top of Kunlun Mountain to ask the wise man why I work so hard but am still poor," answered Yi Li. The old man's eyes became bright. He said with a laugh, "How lucky I am! I too have a problem. In my orchard is an orange tree with bushy green leaves, but it doesn't bear any fruit. Would you please find out what we can do about it? I shall be glad to find out for you, Yi Li answered. Early in the morning, as soon as the rooster crowed, Yi Li began his journey again. He came to a wide, wild river. There was neither ferry nor bridge to get across it. Yi Li sat down on a big rock by the river bank and wondered how to cross. Suddenly, the river roared, the wind howled, and dark clouds covered the sun. Then, as the storm cleared, a rainbow appeared in the sky. A dragon emerged from the rushing river and called out, "Hey, young man, why do you sit there with such a sad face?" Yi Li sighed and replied, "I'm going to the palace on top of Kunlun Mountain to ask the wise man why I work so hard and am still so poor. But now, with this big wide river in front of me and no ferry or bridge to take me across, I don't know what to do." "I will carry you over," said the dragon, "but you must promise me to ask a question. I have hurt neither men nor animals in my life, and I have behaved myself for 1,000 years. Why can't I rise to heaven?" "I'll be sure to ask this question for you," Yi Li quickly promised the dragon. In return, the dragon carried him across the river on his back. After he had gone westward for another 49 days, Yi Li came to a gigantic, ancient city on top of the mountain. When he asked the guards where the wise man of Kunlun lived, he was taken to a magnificent hall in the palace. Sitting in the middle of this hall was an old man with silvery hair and a beard. Yi Li realized this must be the wise man of Kunlun. Before he could utter a single word, the old man addressed him with a smile. "Why have you come here, young man?" Yi Li bowed and replied politely, "Honorable wise man, my name is Yi Li. My mother and I live by Lotus Lake, below Ten Tai Mountain. I have come to seek your advice for 4 problems." Let me show you the picture first. The wise man nodded his head and told him, "The rule here is to ask questions in odd numbers. Ask 1 question, but not 2. Ask 3, but not 4. Now, you have 4 questions. Therefore, you can only ask 3 of them. Think it over and decide which one to leave out." It was hard for Yi Li to decide. He thought about the questions over and over again. His own question was very important, but the three other questions were important too. The images of the old woman, the old man, and the dragon flashed in front of his eyes again and again. Since he was only allowed to ask 3 questions, he decided to give up his own and ask the others. When the wise man had answered the 3 questions, Yi Li thanked him and went happily away from the palace of Kunlun. When he came to the river, the dragon was waiting for him. "Do you have an answer for me?" asked the dragon. Yi Li said, "The wise man of Kunlun told me that you must do 2 things before you can rise up to heaven." Oh, what are they? Please tell me quickly," the dragon cried. "First, you must carry me across the river. Second, you must remove the pearl which shines on your head at night." The dragon agreed and gently carried the young man across the river. He then asked Yi Li to help him knock off the pearl. Immediately, 2 horns shot out from the dragon's head, and he rose toward the sky. When he pierced through the clouds, the dragon called down to Yi Li, "Thank you, my friend. Please keep the pearl as my gift to you. And remember, it is not an ordinary pearl." Yi Li carefully wrapped the shining pearl in a handkerchief and continued on his journey home. When he arrived at the bamboo hut, the old man anxiously asked, "Did you do as you promised?" "Yes, I did," answered Yi Li. "The wise man of Kunlun wanted me to tell you that 12 pots of gold and 12 pots of silver are buried at the bottom of the pool in your orchard. If you dig up the pots and water the orange tree with water from the pool, the tree will produce sweet fruit." The old man called his son to help. First, they scooped the water out of the pool. Then they started to dig. Yi Li helped them too. They dug for several hours, but neither gold nor silver appeared. They did not give up, however, but dug deeper and deeper. Finally, they found 12 pots of gold and 12 pots of silver. They took out the pots, and clear water sprang up from the bottom of the pool and filled it up in a moment. The old man watered the tree with the clear water as he had been advised. As soon as the water touched the roots, every branch of the tree bore fruit. Soon the whole tree was covered with oranges, the color of the sun. The old man was so thrilled that he asked Yi Li to stay for a few more days. He also rewarded Yi Li with a pot of gold and a pot of silver. Nevertheless, Yi Li wanted to hurry home. He left the old man's house and carried with him the pearl that shone at night and the pots of gold and silver. When he neared the old woman's hut, she ran out to meet him and inquired eagerly, "Have you done what I asked you to do?" "Yes," he answered. "The wise man of Kunlun wanted me to tell you that your daughter will be able to speak when she sees a man whom she loves." Ya Mei came in while her mother was talking to Yi Li. When the girl saw him, she blushed like a rose, smiled shyly, and asked, "Mother, who is this?" The old woman was so happy that tears of joy rained down her cheeks like a waterfall. She held Ya Mei tightly in her arms and said, "This is a good sign, my child. Today you spoke your first words at the sight of this young man. He must be the one that heaven has arranged for you. Oh, praise the wise man of Kunlun." Yi Li was excited too, since he had fallen in love with the girl immediately. The whole village was filled with joy and happiness when they heard this good news. Everyone helped prepare for the wedding and showered the couple with food and gifts. Ya Mei was no longer a mute girl, but a truly beautiful lady, as graceful as a plum flower. But Yi Li was still worried about his mother. After his marriage, he bid farewell to the old woman and hurried toward his home with his pearl that shone at night, his pots of gold and silver, and his young bride. When he arrived home, Yi Li found that his aged mother was now blind. She had cried and cried in fear that her son would never return. Yi Li wanted his mother to see his beautiful wife, but all she could do was feel Ya Mei's smooth cheeks. He also wanted her to see the pots of gold and silver, but she could only hear the clinking sound of the precious metals. Finally, Yi Li took out the pearl and waved it before her eyes, but no matter how the pearl shone, all his mother could see was darkness. Yi Li felt very sad and discouraged. He wished that his mother could see something, anything at all. And as he wished, his mother's eyes became well again. She could see. How had this happened? Suddenly, Yi Li remembered what the dragon had said as he rose to heaven. It is not an ordinary pearl. The pearl in his hands not only shone him at night, but it granted his wish and helped his mother see again. From that day on, Yi Li continued to work hard in the field. With Ya Mei's help, they had enough food to eat and warm clothes to wear. Their life together was sweet and happy. Although Yi Li had not asked the wise man of Kunlun the fourth question, his own question, he found the answer to it anyway. helping others, and doing good deeds brought him happiness and rewards.